Greetings everyone. I apologize, I'm a bit sick, so my voice is gonna be a bit raspier in this video, but here's a picture of a dog to make up for it. I wanted to stay consistent and give you guys content every Tuesday. And in this video, we're gonna talk about Sophia Cassella, who has recently gotten a ton of followers on Instagram and has been on a few podcasts because she had a match in the recent WNO event that resulted in a very fast inside heel hook finish. And on top of that, she won Eddie Bravo's Medusa tournament, where she also displayed amazing leg locks. So in this video, we're going to dive into her performances. And if you're interested in supporting her, I'll leave the link to her Instagram and those podcasts below. And she's also going to be doing an online seminar on May 7th. So if you're looking for ways to learn more about her story or just support her, all of those links are going to be in the description below. Now let's get into the video. Now, we recently did a video on outside heel hook defense where we talked about how to defend this classic transition when our opponent enters into our legs, throws the reap across into inside ashi, and then ultimately finishes in outside ashi garami. Now, in this video, we talked about how if we lose the initial battle and the reap leg comes across, our attention should go to addressing that second leg, because that's the foot that allows our opponent to stay connected and ultimately get the finish. In her Medusa performance, Sophia had a beautiful shin-to-shin entry and threw her reap leg in right away. Instead of addressing her second foot, her opponent was grabbing her head, and once Sophia clears her head, she goes right into the finish. Now, if our opponent is doing a good job, they're not going to allow us to throw that outside leg across as a reap. And you can see Sophia's opponent is doing a good job of monitoring that outside leg. So instead of using her outside leg as a reap, Sophia tucks it underneath her opponent's hamstring and uses it to go into a straight ankle lock finish. Now, her foot configuration is a bit different in this example, and her opponent spins the opposite direction. But regardless, you can really see Sophia understands these positions, because as her opponent rolls to alleviate the straight ankle lock pressure, she switches to an outside heel hook. Now, unfortunately, Sophia lost pretty early in the ADCC trials, but there is still a ton to take away from her match, including this backside outside heel hook entry. And the thing I thought that was pretty slick about this was as her opponent goes to hand fight, Sophia says, okay, take that arm. I'm going to switch to a reverse figure four grip, which is much stronger. And we saw Craig Jones use this against Vinny Magalesh to absolutely destroy his leg. And the reverse figure four grip also allows for easy transitions to toe holds. So I thought it was really slick the way she countered her opponent's hand fighting by using it to switch to a stronger grip. Now let's talk about what put Sophia on my radar, and I'm sure many others as well, which is her performance at WNO. Now, if we break this down, you can see we start in a knee shield situation, and her opponent is pretty easily able to pass Sophia's bottom leg and enters aggressively into a knee on belly situation. And Sophia uses this opportunity to shoot up into the legs. Now, when we're passing the guard, I think a good analogy to use is a mouse trying to look for some food. And a lot of times you're just going to find crumbs. And the first crumb could be getting to a kind of floating situation like this where you're relatively comfortable. The next crumb could be pummeling your foot to top position. Now, as you cut to the other side, you're able to keep your opponent's knee shield out of the way. So there's another little crumb. And eventually these crumbs will lead to you passing the guard. But if you're a mouse and you stumble upon a big piece of cheese, it's likely that that's too good to be true and it's probably a trap. It's the same as if you're in someone's butterfly half guard and you think that knee slice was way too easy. It's because that knee slice just puts you in inside Senkaku. And the issue I think a lot of people are running into now is that back in the day, when they would try these kind of crazy loose passes and they wouldn't work, they would just get put back into guard and then they would try them again. So basically there was no real consequence for going after that big piece of cheese. But now, as we just saw Sophia demonstrate, when you try and blow past someone's guard, it can lead to very bad outcomes. And what's interesting is we've actually seen Nicky Ryan use this exact same strategy. As his opponent uses loose passing and steps towards Nicky's hips, he takes this opportunity to enter into the legs. But Nicky's opponent decides to run towards his feet, making the leg entry difficult but the wrestle up very easy. Now, Sophia's opponent decided not to run towards her feet, but to run towards her head. And that gave Sophia the opportunity to spin underneath and really get deep into leg entanglements at this point. So the moral of the story is, if something's too good to be true, it probably is. You can see Nicky in this scenario literally trying to lift his opponent over his bottom leg. Now, if they don't cooperate, Nicky just says, fine, I'm going to throw my own leg to the outside. Now, as we just saw, if you come up to my hip, I'm going right into your legs. And another option you have is to sit back like we see here. But this gives me a good ability to heist. And if you don't want me to get up, you're going to have to pressure back into me. And as you do, I'm going to try and enter into your legs. And if that doesn't work, I'm using my leg entry to wrestle up. So not only does this foot on the outside work very well with a wrestle up approach, it also works great for harassing your opponent's feet. So the moral of the story is, don't just blow past your opponent's bottom leg thinking you're about to pass their guard, because as you step to their hip, that's exactly what they're looking for to enter into the legs. And you can see Big Dan here passing initially to knee on belly, but then dropping to pseudo half, because now he controls his opponent's hips and the inside space, making it very, very difficult at this point for his opponent to enter into his legs. It's the same as if you're mounted on someone who's really good at leg locks, and you're concerned that they can escape right into an attack on your legs. So what you can do, and what a lot of people are doing nowadays, is they intentionally pummel their foot back into a 3/4 mount, because now they control a bit of inside space, making it very difficult for their opponent to enter into their legs. And that's actually a little teaser for the next video I have coming out, so consider subscribing so you don't miss that, because I know a lot of you are still not subscribed. So now that we've talked about the entry, let's talk about the finish. Now we find ourselves in this situation here, and Sophia could very easily throw this leg through into backside 50-50, which is a great position to be in if someone is trying to pressure back into you. However, Sophia decides to thread her other leg through into inside Senkaku. And again, we've talked about this before, how inside Senkaku from a backside situation isn't the best at preventing our opponent from pressuring back into us. But in Sophia's case, her opponent was not trying to pressure back in. Her opponent was trying to run, which in this case, backside inside Senkaku was a very effective finishing strategy. And the reason I know the pros and cons of these backside positions are because of instructionals like John Danaher's. So if you're not sold on these things yet, man, the train's moving, you better hop on. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, shout out to Sophia and all the other athletes that sacrifice so much to go out there and compete. So support her through all the links below in the description. And if you're looking for ways to support the channel, please subscribe, and you can always support the channel through Patreon. Thanks for hanging out to the end of the video. If you made it this far, hopefully my voice will be back to normal for the next one.